With all eyeballs on his eldest son, the president today reiterated his belief that the whole Russia thing is, quote, the greatest witch hunt in political history. Is that true? Joining him now is former Utah Congressman and Fox News contributor, Jason Chaffetz. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So we talked a little bit about this on the Outnumbered Couch earlier in the week, and the thing about this story is it won't go away, and there have been a series of missteps that keep perpetuating it, and part of it comes from Don Jr.
Well, here we are mid-July, and we're still, headline after headline is about Russia. If you don't get the story right the first time, and then you got to update it, and then you got to update it again, and here we are. I mean, they've just got to lay it all out there. And I do give him credit for putting out the email top to bottom and just saying, here, hey, here it is, all is, and you decide.
No, I understand that, but I think when he was confronted with some of the facts, it would have been more comforting if he had, the first time around, been like, you know what, yeah, someone had some dirt on Hillary, and I went to a meeting, I probably shouldn't have done it, and I think that would have been the end of the story. But the fact that he said it was about the adoption, and then he had to change his story completely and say that he was getting opposition research, and it doesn't even sound like adoptions came up at all. That's problematic. And you know, aside from the president, and I actually don't lump the president in with this one. Right. I actually believe I don't think that Don Jr. has enough smarts to alert the right people to something that might be problematic.
It was naive. It was ill-conceived. It was not well executed, and it probably shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And he said as much, and I hope it is a learning moment, but for a Democratic member of Congress, as they did today, to file articles of impeachment against the President of the United States, that is such an absolute overreach.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Now, here's what's problematic about the assertion that the President didn't know. And I believe that. And I believe that you have a lot of political novices in this family, and that's part of the attraction.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that people voted for him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if I were president, I would be like, what are you guys doing? Doesn't anyone see that this would be problematic? And if you can't tell your dad, if you feel like you have to shield him from something, then that something might be wrong in the first place.
I don't know. I mean, I look back. Could you name who you met with a year ago in a 20-minute meeting? You could. Yeah. I couldn't go through and do that and tell you all their background and is this important or not important. I actually do buy the idea that this turned out to be a nothing burger, and it was just kind of came and went.
I don't like the phrase nothing burger.
I love it, because I love burgers.
Okay, I do too, but burgers are substantial, delicious, and satisfying. When does this become a something sandwich? When does it rise to the point where you have a harder time defending the administration?
Look, I can relate to sandwiches. When they talk about burgers, this really, I think it really was a nothing burger.
Okay, but when does it become something? What is the line for you?
If they had actually done something with it, if there was an exchange of information, if this meeting led to another meeting, and if those revelations come out, I don't see any evidence of any of that.
Yeah.
You had the 4 top intelligence officers a couple weeks ago testify before the Senate. They see no evidence of any collusion. And so...
And I understand
until there's actual evidence that somebody actually did something?
This is something different. And my understanding is there may be more to this story. We don't know that yet. There aren't new facts that have presented themselves. But as the House Oversight Committee Chairman, what would you have done with this story if this were Hillary Clinton?
There's so much more on Hillary Clinton, where you have inspector generals saying there is classified information in a non-classified setting. There's real evidence. There is the smoking, not only smoke, but an actual smoking gun where there's stuff that then you pursue it. You know, when I was the chairman and Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State, I didn't do anything with her for months, even years, before there was evidence. Okay, then you do it.
Wouldn't you want some sort of clarity on this issue, if for no other reason than so the country can move on to much more pressing issues like health care and tax reform?
I wish it would go away, and if handled better in the communication side, it probably would have gone away. But I'm guessing by the time we get to next week, you'll hear a bunch of Democrats trying to stir the pot, but yet they have come up with nothing.
I understand that, but unfortunately, Don Jr. has given them a ladle this week, and they are stirring like crazy. And there's unfortunately...
But it doesn't mean that there's actual evidence. So I go
no,
back
but it
to
also doesn't mean that there is nothing. It's not the same thing as, oh, a guy came up to me at the Republican convention who may or may not have been Russian. That's different. When someone
It's
says
still
to you,
short of-
you know,
it's
here's
still
an
short of
attorney
evidence.
representing the Russian government, they support your dad, they've got
We're
some
into
dirt on
July.
Hillary.
We're into July. Name a solid piece of evidence that there has been collusion. There
Okay,
isn't
but there's
any.
a difference between something is not right, something is communicated poorly, something was mishandled, and collusion.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it was mishandled. It was ill-informed. He said he probably shouldn't. He would have dealt with it differently.
Yeah.
That is a huge leap and difference than having evidence
Then what is
of collusion.
what is collusion?
Well, I think if there's a two-way communication, a concerted effort, and they're actually doing something with
Yeah.
it, then it starts to rise to the level that you really have to look at it and look at it hard. Now, there's a special prosecutor in place,
Yeah.
and we'll see what they come up with. They have all the investigative tools, but there's a lot more out there on Comey. There's a lot more on Hillary Clinton. There's a lot more where there's actual real evidence that should be pursued.
Which goes to my ultimate point that politics is filthy and scummy, and I think that's why you got out of it.
It's a full contact sport, and I actually love the fight. I
Yeah.
really do. I don't miss the fundraising.
Yeah, and getting a little dirty.
Yeah.
One needs to coat oneself in Purell in
Yes.
our nation's
On
capital.
a daily basis, yeah.
Former Congressman Jason Chaffetz,
Thank you.
your political future awaits. Thank you for being here once again.
Thank you.